Hey guys, sorry for the long sabbatical. I am back. I've been praying to see how Jesus wanted me to move forward with my YouTube videos, and I've been praying on it. And He has been actually pushing me to maybe talk more about my spiritual journey, my relationship with Him, and how it's been growing. Um, and so lately, He's been pushing me to maybe talk about how or why I should say that I don't celebrate some of the holidays anymore. Um, Especially since Christmas is coming up, so I can maybe just talk about why I don't celebrate Christmas anymore. It all started when I started having questions, or I started reading the Bible, and I noticed that there are things in the Bible that it tells us to celebrate and we don't really pay attention to. And then there are things that aren't in the Bible that we celebrate. Like Christmas is one of them. Like Easter is another. And Easter, how do we celebrate Easter or put so much emphasis on Easter and then the Passover, which is in the Bible to celebrate, we don't really pay attention to. And in the Bible, it says to always remember to celebrate the Passover, you know? So that's the type of thing that um, I was reading that made me question um, all of these holidays that we celebrate. In the Bible, reading it, it actually says don't celebrate man-made traditions. And then you start to think, well, where did Christmas come from? Is it man-made tradition, or should we really celebrate Jesus' birthday? Um, Jesus' birthday is not even in the Bible. Like, it doesn't tell us when his birthday is. And if you do some research on the um, season where Jesus is born, he's not even born. You wouldn't even think he would be born in December. So it wasn't in the winter when he was born. So that begs the deal. Well, where did it come from? You know, and who started it? I mean, this is a man-made. So now I know it's a man-made tradition, but where did it come from? And is it okay for me to celebrate it? Because Christians are saying we're celebrating the birth of Christ, and then I started to think, well, celebrating the birth of Christ on a date that he didn't say celebrated. So then my question is, what if I did that to you? Like, what if I said, okay, yeah, your birthday is in June, but we gonna celebrate it in September. I think it'll be better if we celebrated it in September. That way we could make a whole big deal out of it. You know what I'm saying? We could celebrate everybody's birthday in the family in September. We just have a big old party. You know, exchange gifts. We can make a big thing out of it in September. Would you like to? Let's go ahead and do that. Would you like that if somebody said we're gonna just celebrate your birthday on the day we want to celebrate it? So no, I don't. I don't think that's what he wants, you know. So after I started thinking about that, I did a little research. Where did it come from? Well, coming to find out, it's a pagan holiday. It's actually been around before Jesus was born. This holiday is not something that someone came up with um, specifically for Jesus. This was a holiday that was already there, um, and this holiday was a celebrating the winter solstice, celebrating the sun god, celebrating the sun god Tammuz, and he's a pagan god. Um, and so that's where this birth date or celebration comes from. It has nothing to do with Jesus, and Jesus is a jealous God, and He said, "You should have no gods before me." So why would we celebrate Jesus' birthday on a holiday that's already being celebrated by a false god, which is beyond me? Okay, um, so that, and then there is some scripture in there that even speaks on some of the things, like the Christmas tree specifically. It's if you read this verse, it's Jeremiah the 10th chapter, verses 2 through 4, where it tells us not to celebrate man-made traditions. It actually goes on to describe the Christmas tree. Well, a tree, they say that they go in the forest and they dig up a tree. They get someone to cut it. They use a hammer and nails to make sure that it doesn't topple over, and then they adorn it with silver and gold. Do that sound like a Christmas tree? That sounds like a Christmas tree to me. Okay, and he said, do not celebrate that. So that is actually in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And for people to say, I'm going to go ahead and celebrate it because I've always celebrated it without questioning these things. Like, these things are some big questions. Like, these are big questions if you think about it. Like, why would we celebrate it? He doesn't even put his birthday in the Bible. If we did try to locate when his birthday was, it's not in December. And then we noticed that this holiday didn't come around for him. It's not specifically for him. This holiday was already there. And it was for another god. It was for a god, the sun god. It was celebrating the winter solstice. And this sun god was being worshipped. And God said, don't have any other gods before me. You are going to celebrate his birthday on a false God's day. Beyond me. Like, I mean, and I understand that it's our tradition. Like, we've grown up with it. We know about it. This is what we do. But when you find out, it kind of turns you off on the whole thing. It's like, wow, okay. Who did this? Who did this to make us celebrate a false God? And I can tell you that as well. Okay, so the story to make Christians start to celebrate this holiday is when the Roman Catholic, when the Rome Empire was ruling everything, and the emperor named Constantine, he saw a vision. He thought he saw a cross in the sky. He was like, okay, so their Jesus is real. We have to incorporate them into our culture. We need them to embrace us now because they are dealing with some stuff, so let's go ahead and embrace them in our culture. And so he said, well, let's go ahead and tell them, since we're celebrating the winter solstice for Tammuz, let's go ahead and tell them they can celebrate their Jesus birthday on this day too. That way everybody is included in the festivities, you see. So that's how they started to celebrate Christmas. That's how the Christians started to celebrate Christmas. And back then, when he said this, of course, most Christians are like, oh no, we ain't doing that. No, that's that don't sound right. We can't do this because that's not our God's day. So you know, time goes on and time goes on and time goes on. More and more Christians start to do it. Okay, um, and they celebrate the whole festivities. They do the whole winter solstice thing for it. Christmas didn't start being celebrated the way we celebrate it until Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol, actually. When he wrote the book A Christmas Carol, that is what made us start to go above and beyond for Christmas. Now this has roped all the Christians in because it was a long time ago when Constantine did that, and no one really knows at this point where the holiday comes from. It's just being done, and that's like anything. Once it's started, even though there are protesters, by the time goes on and goes on, people forget why they were protesting this holiday. And this is, bam, there it goes. And now we have Santa Claus, and I could really tell you where that came from, but it's a lot. I actually do have some links in the subscription box if you really want to get into detail, if you really want to know a little bit more about what I'm telling you. It actually can explain about Santa Claus. It'll tell you a little bit more about Constantine and how the Roman emperor and the Romans kind of meshed pagan and Christianity together to for these holidays. When they first did it, it wasn't because they were saying, yeah, you know, I believe that they're right. No, what they were saying was we need to get them to blend in with our culture. That is basically what they were doing. They were trying to get us Christians to blend in with their culture. And by telling them, hey, you can go ahead and celebrate your Jesus birthday on this day, that was them saying, hey, let's all celebrate it, and we can tell them they can do this to celebrate it. They don't have to celebrate our God. They can just celebrate, their God. We'll let them celebrate their God on this day. Um, and that's kind of what happened there. So, um, I do have, like I said, I've got some links in the description box down below that you can, um, go back and look at, um, so they can give you a little bit more understanding. If you have any questions, definitely, if you have any questions for me, put it in the comments. I got you. I'm gonna answer them. Because I am well knowledged about this Christmas holiday. Um, Easter. Oh my God, that's a whole nother subject. I want to go into it, but I'm not. Because that's going to take another 10 minutes to go through. But yeah, if you have any questions, any concerns, any comments, put them down below. I will answer them. Like, share, and subscribe. Going forward, I will be doing more and more videos just to kind of maybe give you an insight of my walk and my journey since I have started reading the Bible more and following the word more than listening to preachers. Because at this point, I don't see me being able to go to a church if they're celebrating Christmas, and I know where Christmas came from. I'm not sure why you would celebrate Christmas when you know how it got started, if you know the history of Christmas, um, and if you know Scripture. The Scripture tells us clearly to put no other God before Him. Also, do not follow man-made traditions. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to post the scripture. It's Jeremiah chapter 10, 2 through 4. And in that chapter, right after he says don't celebrate man-made traditions, he goes along and describes that tree that they cut down from in the forest and decorate. So I'm going to put that scripture in the description box as well. Um, any questions, concerns, comments, please like, share, comment. I really want to get this conversation started, and I will be back again to give you more updates on the journey that I have. Thank you, and you enjoy.